Hey y'all, welcome to the filling station. It has been an interesting day in the market. Let me go ahead and say that, right? But first, let me give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth in the stock market. It's just one of those avenues. So, this video is just for educational purposes only. With that being said, y'all, let's get started. So, this is what I would do as, the afternoon recap type thing. And Tesla has got me at a place where I just want to take a nap. You ever just, the market's just been different today. So, looking at Tesla on the 5 minute, to me, in my opinion, the better trade would have been, this from the morning, right this morning. And after that, it would have just been different. After this run up to the upside, hitting that ORB high, which is at the 179.57, once it hit that and came back down, that would have been the nice entry for Tesla to the downside. And probably if you're willing to do this up and down type thing, but would not want to trade, this. It was under the 5 EMA, but look at the MACD and how close it is together. Looking at it on this time frame, I mean, it did get consolidated, or what I consider the gathering spot. It consolidated. We got a 5 and 50 crossing. We could have entered here, but the up and down movement, and yeah, the up and down movement. So this would have been a nice, if you can withstand it, or let me say that. So around the 177.22 area all the way down to the 175, that would have been a nice trade, right? So looking at it on a higher time frame, we can see it a little bit clearer. So when I say that that would have been a really good trade from the morning, look how Tesla, it ran up to this high here at 179.57 and came all the way back down. But y'all, when it stops, when that candle stop, I always want to go to what caused that candle to stop. What caused this to stop down here? And this was before the ORB low was formed. So then once I need to go and find that. Let me see. I need to locate that. And we found it here. It was about 10 o'clock. Well, that was after the ORB. But it's right here at 10 o'clock. It found support right here. So I need to remember that Tesla found support at that 175.95, or the candle was actually lower than that at the time. I believe it was 175.70. So it came down, found support, and then it went back to the upside, got rejected on the 5 EMA, only to come back down. Now you see what I mean about the up and down, up and down. So this trade here, once it got rejected here, which kind of gave a double top. If you're looking at the wicks here, both of them are kind of close to each other. Depends on how you see your double tops. Let me say that. And once it started closing under that, we could have entered the trade and just rode the 5. It's under the 5 EMA. You have your wicks on the top, so your sellers were there. If you can, withstand the up and down movement, because it was a little bit of up and down. But Tesla has been different today, in my opinion. And the high of the day was that 179.97, 179.57, I'm sorry. And then the low of the day was, right at the bell, was at 175.30 range. But Tesla was very close to filling a gap that I had marked on the daily chart from, I think it was closed at, or will close. It's like maybe $5-6 off. So being that it's that close, I'm thinking, okay, Tesla filled the gap today, right? So one of the things I wanted to point out, I had marked I've already cleared my charts for the week, but I marked the 176 area. 176.03 is what I actually had marked. And Tesla kept coming back to that area, and that was an area of support, and not realizing that, why is Tesla coming back to that area? It was actually where the 5 EMA on the daily chart was. I was in the charts looking at it, but I didn't come back to the daily chart. I just had the 176.03 area marked, which was a previous day low, and that's why I left it on my charts. And when I went back to look at it, I said Tesla keeps finding support at that 176 area. And when I figured out why, I noticed that it was at the 5 EMA on the daily chart. With that being said, Tesla closed under that area of support. So right now, the level of support is at 175.90, and we closed under that 175.90. I mean, the moving averages, it moves. So it was at the 176.03. Now it's at the 190 area. We closed at 175.79. So we closed under a level of support, which is now resistance. So my concern is these two candles that we know are reversal candles, are we going back down, basically? That's what I have to ask myself. Are we going back to the downside? So basically, looking at this daily chart, we could very well continue to the downside. Let me say that we did close under an area of support right now. That 175.90 or 176 area is our resistance now. And so that be very, very careful. Again, it's getting ready to be the weekend. We just doing a recap. Try not to think about your trades until until Sunday. Let's say that, until Sunday. So let's look at the SPY. This is what, like, when I looked at it and when I went back to, I said, this should not have caught me off guard. This should not have been a difficult move or anything. To me, it did an instant replay of what it did yesterday. We traded sideways. This is the 5-minute chart. We traded sideways all day. And look at that MACD. It is showing us this is not something that you would want to trade, right? Not financial advice. Then all of a sudden, it breaks out. We get a double bottom based on these two bodies of the candle, is what I like to look at, right? So we broke out of this. We went from the low of this candle of 523.02 all the way up to 524.61. Why is this shocking? We did the exact same thing on yesterday at the making the 523, coming out of the 520 521 area. So I was like, okay, when I seen that, this is to me a total double take, instant replay of what SPY just did, right? That's something to think about. And yeah, today's been a very interesting day in the market. Let's look at AMD. Okay, I would not have wanted to trade this. Let me say that. Sometimes, once it break out of the gathering spot in the morning times, sometimes those are the best trades. We could have entered the trade here and scalped it all the way up to the top here and got out of that and been done for the day, finished for the day, depending on what your goal is and how you trade, right? So that MACD gave us an indication. It broke out of the gathering spot. We could have entered, rolled the 5, made our money, got out, and left this alone for the rest of the day because it really consolidated, or just here, we created another gathering spot. I would not have wanted to trade this, only to come down. This may have been a decent scalp to the downside, but this sideways here, I would not want to trade. Once I go in and say, for instance, I entered the trade here and made a decent profit, I wouldn't have traded this here because, one, I didn't want to give any of it back. And 2, I don't want to do the up and down movement type thing. So that's something to think about. The key to trading, y'all, you may think it's hard based on trying to understand the charts. It's really, discipline. And making sure you can follow your plan. The key to trading is following your plan and having discipline to say yes and discipline to say no. I don't need to trade right now. I'm going to get out and you not be greedy. I said that before. I have to remind myself to be grateful and to not be greedy. So the video was an interesting trade today. I broke out of the gathering spot pre-market. It gathered, bell opened, came down, only to run back to the upside. That's one of them. Okay, we're going to make them think it's going to go up when actually it's really not going to move too much. Made a high. The low of the day, was 891.93 to run back up to this 913. That was interesting. I would not want to trade this area right here. But hey, if you're good at doing that, in my opinion, you're going to waste a lot of time and a lot of money. And if you look at it on a higher time frame, we just basically consolidated. That's the gathering spot. And look at all those wicks at the top of those candles. It was too many sellers right there. So you're just playing tug of war with the buyers and the sellers when you trade activity like this. So that's something to think about, y'all. Again, today has been a very, very interesting day. I didn't look at SMCI today. And normally I trade that on Fridays because it's a lot cheaper to trade. Let me say that. And, I didn't mark the levels. Let's look at it on a 30-minute and see. Yeah, it seems like that too was one of those that I would not have wanted to trade today based on what I'm seeing here. If you didn't get this move here from, bouncing off this ATR trailing stop and 5 and 50 crossing, let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger. Yeah, see how we had kind of like it bounced off of this twice, hit it a third time, only to bounce up. 5 and 50 cross, it got above VWAP right here. So yeah, we can enter that. And the MACD gave us that little pivot. So we had some type of confirmation. And if we entered here and got out here, and that would have been somewhere around the 10:15:07 up to the 10:33. Okay, I can see that as a decent, a scalp depending on how you get in. I mean, how much you invest. However, coming back to the downside, it seems as if sellers were right here to take this price back down. So I would have nicely taken this back to the downside here, nicely gotten out of it, because if you can only, this stock moves so different, I can't say that enough. But once I got from this place and maybe have gone back in it again for a quick scalp, this sideways movement, it wouldn't have been something that I would have wanted to have watched the entire day or stayed in the whole day. And that's something to think about. Are you willing to sit here and wait on this to figure out if it's going to move up or if it's going to move down? It needs to give a clear direction or a clear signal or something, an indication to let you know that, hey, I'm going to move versus I'm going to just sit right here like, Tesla did or the SPY did. Those little candles, very, very small candles. The SPY is a great example of what I'm talking about, because looking at it on a smaller time frame, that's just a lot of activity, up and down, and it's just not something that the wicks on the top, that's something to think about. The wicks on the bottom. So the buyers and the sellers are really having a struggle here. Tug of war is what I like to call it, right? So y'all listen, again, trading the market is fun. You have to make it fun. I know I probably say a lot of things to make people laugh, but I do that because I know it's a serious time, but considering that we're doing this majority of the day, or sometimes people are doing it all day or a certain part of the day, either way, you don't want to get so tied down with looking at charts or looking at candles. Make it fun, make life fun. It's a lot healthier for you, right? So again, y'all, I'm super excited that we can learn and grow together. Thank you so much for watching, taking your time to listen. Look, we've survived this day. If we didn't trade, we definitely learned something. Let me say that. So until next time, y'all, have an awesome weekend. Be blessed as well as a blessing unto others.